Hello, and thank you for checking out this video. So today, as you might have guessed, I'm going to be making some paper flowers, and they are super duper pretty, and they're actually quite simple to make. They really don't take very long once you get the hang of it, so let's get into it. Okay, so I'll just go through the materials that I'm using. I'm using paper, obviously. You need square pieces of paper. These ones are 5 by 5 inches or 12.7 centimeters square. You can cut your own paper, obviously, to the size that you want, but using pre-cut is much easier because the shape is very precise and it's all measured out for you. But yeah, that doesn't stop you cutting your own paper if you want to. You can obviously choose any size that you want. The smaller it is, the more difficult it is to fold neatly, and the bigger it is, obviously, the larger the flower you'll end up with. I'm using a bone folder because it just gets your edges a lot straighter. You don't have to have one of these there, you can use a ruler, you can just use your finger, you just need to press really hard, but these do give you sharper folds. I'm going to be using a glue gun. I think it's the best type of glue to use. You can use other glue, but because of the nature of the paper folding, it wants to ping back open. So if you use a glue that takes a very long time to dry, you will have to find a way to clamp it shut, which could potentially damage the paper, or you'll be sitting there for ages holding it shut waiting for it to dry. I have also used double-sided tape, but again, it works, but it will just ping open after a while, so you need a strong glue that will dry quite quickly. I'm also using kebab skewers or bamboo skewers, wooden skewers, whatever, for the stem of the flower, but these are not necessary if you don't want to have a stem. So those are the bare essentials to make this, and you can use a few extra embellishments, which I will go through a bit later, but let us begin. Okay, so I'm going to go through it once in real time first. If the paper being used is not double-sided, flip it over so the blank side faces up. The first fold is corner to corner to make a triangle, and I'm using the bone folder to get a really sharp edge. Then I am folding the points of the triangle up to the top point, starting with the right side and then the left. And then you'll end up with a diamond shape. Next, I'm starting with right side again and folding it so the middle straight edge meets the straight edge to the right side. Then the same on the other side. Okay, this is a little tricky to describe, but the flap to the right needs to be opened up completely. So I stand it up, put my finger inside and push down to flatten it along the edges that have already been folded. I'll just show what that looks like from above as well. Next, I fold the top of the flap down so that it follows the straight edge of the whole thing. Then just to neaten it up, I tuck it in, but it's not essential. Finally, fold along the bottom edge so that the flap is now in half and follows the bottom of the diamond. So then I just do the same on the other side. I really don't know if these descriptions are making any sense, but the video should be enough to get the gist, I hope. Okay, so then we've got the diamond with two little flaps on each side. Now it needs to be glued together. So I just add a line of glue to the outer edge of one flap, and and then bend the paper to stick it to the other flap. It's really important to bend and not to fold for this bit. I'm squeezing along the joining edge to help them really stick. And there is one of the 6 petals needed for this. So I'll just show it once more sped up. Fold to make a triangle. Fold the right and left sides up so the corners meet the top point. On one side, fold it so the middle edge meets the bottom straight edge, and then do the same on the other side. Then flatten out the flap on one side, fold the top edge of the flap down parallel with the edge underneath, then tuck that inside. Fold that in half to give 2 small flaps on one side, then do the same on the other side. Once that's done, add hot glue down one flap, bend the paper round to stick it to the other flap. Okay, so now I've got 6 petals. I need to decide what order I want them in and then stick them together. There's nothing complicated about this part, just run a line of hot glue along one of the petals close to the join but not on it, and then stick it to another petal. I do this for about 4 petals, and then I want to add the stem. So I just put a line of hot glue down the centre where everything joins and put my bamboo skewer in there. I'm putting the pointy end inside so there's no sharp edges, but if you wanted to stick it in something like polystyrene, you could leave the pointy end sticking out or just cut it off. I then add my final 2 petals and just need to remember to do a line of glue on both sides for the final one, as it's quite tricky to do it after the last one is stuck down on one side. To finish it off, I like to put something in the centre, and usually I'll add a button. I've also tried other things like pearls and beads, but any round embellishment would look cool. So if you didn't want to put a stick on it, you could just leave them as is, like this one, and you can just sit it on a surface like that, and they kind of look really cute like that. Or you can punch a hole through the top one, and then put a ribbon and then hang it from somewhere. That also looks really cute. But what other decoration could we add? I'm glad you asked. Something you can do before sticking everything together is to use a punch to round the corners, and it changes the shape of it a little. On this one I'm using a Versamark pen and some embossing powder to give it a shiny gold edge. Just using the heat gun there to melt it and make it permanent. I found this jute covered wire that I thought could also be a good stem, because it will then mean the flowers can be angled a bit, because with the skewers they can only point directly upwards. For this one, I'm using some gems to add some sparkle to the points and thought they might look cute as little raindrops around the centre. And on this one I used some vintage style paper and put some cog embellishments in the centre for a steampunk vibe. With this one I made it quite small and cut the bottom point off so I can fit a little LED light through the middle. And I'm going to make a load more to cover the string of lights. Because it's paper, I'm using battery powered LEDs so that they don't generate much heat. But I will also make sure that they're not left unattended, just in case. FYI, this is how big a flower will turn out if you use 30cm square paper. I hope you enjoyed this little video and maybe it's given you a bit of inspiration. If you did, then please feel free to leave a like and a comment and hit subscribe if you want to see more arts and crafts and bujos. Thanks so much, bye!